What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Nashville. We have Talison to Sharier going against Derrick Lewis. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this card. I think it's a good card. I think it's going to be a fun card. It is a sketchy card. You know, we have a lot of older fighters on this card. I think it's like over 10 fighters that are 36 and up. We have a lot of fighters, making their debuts at different weight classes. And we have a lot of just kind of sketchy fights. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. A lot of wide lines as well, which is going to be interesting to see if we can, find some value on some of these really wide lines, these really wide totals, these really wide money lines. And I think I've done a good job at that. So yeah, the plan for this week is to keep it kind of short and sweet, and then attack UFC 318 heavy because there's a ton of spots sticking out for next week. But I did find some spots that I like this week, and I can't wait to break it all down. Before we get into it, if you guys could do me a couple favors, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment. All three of those things go a very long way. If you want to support me more, the best way to do so is to check out dfsbythenumbers.com. Find all my other content on there. And yeah, I'll be going live about an hour before the prelims start on Saturday on Fight Day, so check me out there. We'll do a last look live stream. But yeah, with all that out of the way, I say we get into it, and we're going to start with the first fight on the card. And we have Fatima going against Melissa Martinez. And yeah, we have Fatima as the biggest favorite on the card, minus 1,400. We have two favorites that are minus 1,000 or greater, and we're going to talk about them back to back. And yeah, Fatima, I get why she's a massive favorite. She's really good. She's one of the better prospects in all WMMA. She's somebody that I'm really looking forward to. Really good striker. Her base is BJJ, black belt in BJJ. Physically strong for the division. And really, the only time she's looked human was against Jasmine the Vicious, up a weight class on short notice. Other than that, she looks really good. She's able to get fights down to the ground. She has vicious ground and pound, and then she has a slick submission game as well. So yeah, I like Klein here. I like Klein quite a bit. It's no hot take, right? She's a massive favorite. But I think Klein can go out there and probably finish Melissa Martinez. I just think there's going to be a huge gap in skill, really everywhere, but especially on the ground. Like if this fight hits the ground and Klein's on top, I think the fight could potentially be over shortly after. Klein, we take a look at her MMA career, she only has 4 out of 6 wins by finish, but if you watch all her fights, it's like she's very close to finishing in every single fight. Outside of the Jasmine fight, every single fight, she's getting into on top, she's getting into dominant positions, she's hunting for submission, she's landing a lot of ground and pound, so I think the finishes will start to rack up, and I think this is maybe even like a step down in competition from her last opponent, Victoria Dudakova. And I'm not even high on Dudakova, but I'm just not sure, where Melissa Martinez is going to have really any success at all in this matchup. So yeah, I like Klein here. I like Klein inside the distance. The way I played this, I took the fight doesn't go to decision, 1.5 units at plus 100. It was the same exact price as Klein inside the distance, and that's pretty much what it is now. I actually see you can get Klein inside the distance at plus 110. That's good, but if you want to pay a little bit more, juice and get the fight doesn't go, cover both sides, but I fully expect Klein inside the distance. Yeah, fight doesn't go to decision for me to kick off the card, 1.5 units at plus 100. Up next, we got Mike Davis going against Mitch Ramirez. Mike Davis minus 1,000, Mitch Ramirez plus 700. So this is a massive favorite that I'm not as confident in, but yeah, Mike Davis, if he's 50% healthy, should win this fight. And what I'll say is nothing's wrong with passing, right? Like we don't got to put Mike Davis into the parlays, but on the flip side, we don't have to bet on Mitch Ramirez. Like we can just pass and sit back and watch this one because Mike Davis is better literally everywhere and better everywhere by a mile. The problem on the Mike Davis side is there's a million red flags with Mike Davis. So I'm staying away. I don't really see a way of attacking this one. I don't really like anything. I don't like the money line. I don't like any props. It's going to be just a pass. So Mike Davis should get the job done, but yeah, a lot of things I don't like on the Mike Davis side in terms of, motivation, injuries, just a lot of excuses. So it's going to be a pass for me. Next, we got Kennedy Nzechukwu going against Walter Walker. And yeah, a couple spots sticking out here. I think, I wouldn't lay minus 190 on Kennedy, I'll say that. And the reason being is because I think there's a strong possibility that he loses the first round. I think Walter is going to have success early in this first round, getting takedowns, getting some control. Kennedy is typically a slow starter. I know he has back-to-back first-round knockout wins, but against, Lucas Bresky and Chris Barnett, which, really don't count. This is going to be a big step up in competition for Kennedy. But yeah, I think that, this is how I'm kind of seeing the fight play out. Walker goes out there, gets takedowns, maybe is able to submit Kennedy early. I think it's unlikely. But if this fight hits the second round, I think that's when Kennedy starts to take over. Walter Walker, he's getting tired in pretty much every single second round I've ever watched. With that said, it does look like he's taken his strength and conditioning a lot more seriously, but we haven't seen it in the cage yet. And Kennedy's going to be tough to take down. He's going to be tough to hold down. So I think Kennedy's live to start stuffing takedowns more and more as the fight goes on. I think Walker starts to get tired, and I could see a Kennedy potential submission here, late submission, or a knockout as well. So I like the Kennedy 2-3 props. I always like the Kennedy 2-3 props. They've came through plenty of times in his career. They haven't came through yet at heavyweight, but with a step up in competition, I think they'll come through here. I have a half a unit on Kennedy round 2 plus 550, and then a half a unit on Kennedy round 3 plus 1,000. Looking for a late Kennedy finish, whether it's a sub, snatching up the neck of a tired Walker, or just putting a pace on Walker and hitting him hard, because I think Kennedy has a massive striking advantage. If Walker can't get takedowns in rounds 2 or 3, I think he's in big trouble there. So yeah, Kennedy 2-3 in that fight there. Up next, we have Eduardo Mara going against Lauren Murphy. Mara minus 640, Lauren Murphy plus 465 pass. I mean, there's nothing sticking. I mean, the decision prop for Mara is minus 180. If I was forced to play something, it's probably that, and that's disgusting. So yeah, it's a pass. Mora should win, but I don't think she's that great, to be honest. And luckily, she's fighting a 42-year-old who's retiring. So yeah, Mara probably wins the fight, but I'm not laying minus 640 on her. Up next, we got Chidi Njokuani going against Jake Matthews. So I was gonna pass on this fight because this is a fight where I don't trust either fighter at all. Like, how could you trust either one of these fighters? But I said to myself, if Chidi does miss weight, I'm going to have to put something on the Jake Matthews. And fair enough, Chidi missed weight, and he looked bad. I mean, I knew he was going to look bad. I knew he was going to look awful weighing in, but I did not know he was going to miss weight. I kind of thought he would make it because he actually promised that he was going to make weight after he missed weight last time. So I kind of thought he would keep the promise, but he didn't. So Chidi not only missed weight, Chidi Njokuani is a liar, which is something to absolutely take into account here. But yeah, I'm not going heavy on this fight. If I could trust Jake Matthews to go out there and implement the correct game plan, I'd be max betting him here at plus 140. I think he has all the tools to not only win this fight, but win it very dominantly and win it very easily, and that would be just simply mixing in the wrestling. But Jake Matthews, he doesn't do that. He doesn't fight smart. Very frustrating fighter to bet on, but he has all the tools, I think, to give Chidi some problems here. So my fear, and I know a lot of people on Jake Matthews as a dog, and I get it, but my fear on the Jake Matthews side is that he's going to go out there and stand at range with Chidi for 15 minutes. If he does that, he's probably losing the fight. I think for Jake Matthews to win this fight, he's going to have to either land something big on the feet, which is possible, or get this fight down to the ground. If he can get on top at Chidi and Njokuani, I think he can finish him. I mean, anytime we've seen Chidi on his back, it's been bad. Chidi quits. I mean, we've seen him quit multiple times. Chidi has 8 losses that came inside the distance. 5 by knockout, 3 by submission. If Jake can get on top of Chidi, especially later in the fight, I think Jake can get Chidi out of there, but it comes down to whether or not Jake fights smart. So I think it's a fight IQ test for Jake Matthews. If he strikes with Chidi for 15 minutes, what do we think's going to happen? Yeah, she probably wins, but I think Matthews has all the tools to make this look easy. Sorry, my voice is giving out, but yeah, I got Matthews inside the distance, 0.75 units at plus 425. I didn't want to go much heavier than 0.75 units, although I can definitely see a path for Matthews. It all comes down to whether he takes that path, and I'm not fully convinced he does. And just seeing Matthews inside the distance plus 425 against the guy in Chidi who's quit so many times, a guy that's been finished 8 times, a guy in Chidi that if there's any adversity whatsoever, he looks for the door. I think Jake Matthews inside the distance is very live this week. I think the money line's solid as well, but if Matthews is having success, it probably means he's wrestling. If he's wrestling, I think he's gonna finish Cheetah here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this fight kind of plays out. But I think Matthews is a very, very live dog this week. All right, up next we got Chris Curtis going against Max Griffin. Chris Curtis minus 300, Max Griffin plus 250. I think Curtis probably wins by decision here. Not much sticking out. I think Curtis in the over 1.5 same game parlay could be a good way to get the price down a little bit. But yeah, nothing I'm really running to the window for in this one. But yeah, Curtis for the win for me, no bet. Junior Tafa Tuco Tokos, this is the 1-800 Gambler fight of the week. I want nothing to do with this one. On one hand, you have Junior Tafa, who's coming down to light heavyweight, and he does look good. He does look to be in good shape, but being in good shape is probably not going to improve his terrible ground game. And if Tuco Tokos, who is a brown belt, gets on top, it could be trouble. But I don't trust Tuco Tokos at all. Don't think he's that great. I think Tafa by knockout is the most likely scenario, but you're laying chalk on that most likely scenario, and I'm just not that confident in it. So yeah, Tafa, I guess, is the pick, but I hate it. I hate this fight. Up next, we got Vitor Petrino going against Austin Lane. So I'll give out a 4-leg Hail Mary parlay at the end, and one of those legs in my 4-leg Hail Mary parlay is just going to be the fight won't start round 3 at minus 260. And yeah, I think somebody gets served here. I think that somebody's probably Austin Lane. I mean, Austin Lane's been finished in all 6 of his losses, and I kind of feel bad for Lane because not only is he getting finished and knocked out in these losses, he's getting knocked out in the most brutal and hilarious fashions. Like he's like face down into the canvas type thing. And yeah, Petrino looks to be pretty solid shape at heavyweight. He put on a lot of muscle, it looks like. And yeah, Petrino probably knocks out Lane early on. Could even take him down and sub him. But I like that fight won't start round 3 as a parlay piece. Even don't mind the under 1.5. Lane has 6 KO losses, right? All 6 of them come under 1.5 rounds. But yeah, I think that fight won't start round 3. Kind of gives Petrino a 10-minute window to finish Lane however he wants to. But yeah, minus 700 for Petrino. It's a hefty price tag to pay, but I think he probably does get the job done inside the distance. Up next, we got Morgan Sharier going against Nate Landwehr. Yeah, for this one's going to be just a sit back and watch type of fight. I think it's going to be a fun fight. Sharier minus 270 is kind of crazy. A lot of people on Landwehr this week, and I think a lot of that has to do with you can't lay minus 270 on Morgan Sharier, a guy that does fight really close in a lot of fights, and he's lost a lot of decisions. I mean, this guy Sharier has lost 10 decisions, so if this fight does go to decision, and we're in the hometown or the home state of Nate Landwehr, like it could get interesting. But I do think Sharier is just a much better fighter. I mean, I think he's much more skilled. I think he should win the fight. But minus 270 in a fight that could potentially play out close, no thank you. It's a pass for me. I looked at maybe the Nate Landwehr plus 3.5, but the worry with that would be, Nate Landwehr has been knocked out a lot, and Sharier does have some power. So it's one that not a ton sticking out. I'm going to stay away from this one and watch it as a fan. Up next, we have Steve Garcia going against Calvin Kattar. And yeah, I like Kattar here. I like Kattar. One last ride. Kattar's on a 4-fight skid, but he's fighting much better competition than Steve Garcia. And I think this fight's going to come down to durability. And even at 37 years old, I think the more durable fighter is, without a question, without a doubt, Calvin Kattar. Calvin Kattar has never been knocked out, has never been even dropped in the UFC, which is crazy to think about considering how many significant strikes to the face this guy has taken throughout his career, and he's shown no signs of durability issues. He's shown no signs of that durability waning at all, and until he does, I'm going to trust in that durability. And he's going against Steve Garcia, who, yes, he has more power, but he's a lot less durable. I mean, this guy, Steve Garcia, is getting knocked out by Mahashate, who's not knocking out anybody ever. He's getting dropped 3 times by Charlie Ontiveros, the dude with noodles on his head. I mean, I think these guys are going to throw down. And yeah, I mean, Steve Garcia, this guy's a ton of power. I mean, he could knock out Calvin Kattar. He could be the first one, but I kind of feel like that's a hot take. I feel like him knocking out and being the first one to knock out Kattar is a hot take, and he's the favorite. So one last ride for me on Calvin Kattar. Could look silly, but I think Calvin Kattar gets it done. Whether that is a knockout, whether that is just a veteran masterclass over the course of 15 minutes. Dropping Steve Garcia a couple times, because Steve Garcia has been dropped like 6-7 times in the UFC. Could see a couple different ways Kattar can win, but at plus money, I'm taking my shot. I have 1.25 units on Kattar at plus 105. I was going to go with the knockout prop, but it's really not that amazing, to be honest. I mean, plus 210. I was thinking you'd get like a much better, like Kattar hasn't knocked out anybody in like 5 years, but they're kind of all over it. So I just took the money line just in case this is one of those wars that does go the distance, which I could see. I also don't mind the fight ends by knockout. Best price I see on that is like minus 145. I think that's solid. I mean, Steve Garcia, kill or be killed. I think somebody probably gets served. So yeah, fight ends by knockout. Another solid way to play this fight. Up next, we got Gabriel Bonfiglio going against Stephen Thompson. Yeah, I like Bonfiglio here. I mean, Stephen Thompson, 42 and a half years old, oldest fighter on the card, which is crazy because this is one of the oldest cards of all time, and Stephen Thompson's the oldest on the oldest card of all time, one of the oldest fighters in the UFC. I think the durability of Thompson's going a little bit, the speed of Thompson's going a little bit, and Bonfiglio's 15 years younger. Bonfiglio is dangerous everywhere. Like, yes, Thompson, I do favor him the striking, absolutely, but Bonfiglio has a ton of power. It wouldn't shock me if Bonfiglio knocked out Stephen Thompson on the feet, but where Bonfiglio is going to have the most success, where Bonfiglio is going to look minus 425, is going to be in the grappling. And I do think he gets down Thompson. I mean, everybody's getting down Thompson these days. Even Joaquin Buckley, who's a striker, got down Thompson like 5 times. And the difference between Bonfiglio and Buckley is not a grappler at all. Bonfim's a high level BJJ black belt, one of the best opportunistic submission artists in the division. This guy, Bonfim's ground game is nasty, and if he catches a front choke, if he catches the neck of Stephen Thompson, I think that could be it. So I like Bonfiglio here quite a bit. I'm playing him inside the distance. Got 1.5 units on it at plus 100. Could also be an interesting live bet. Like if he's not able to get takedowns for whatever reason, maybe a live bet on Thompson, but I do think he gets takedowns, and I do think he wins this fight by first or second round submission. So yeah, 1.5 units on the inside the distance for Gabriel Bonfiglio. And then for the main event, you got Talison Terara going against Derrick Lewis. And yeah, for me, I don't love the minus 265 on Terara. It is definitely a dogger pass, but I just took the under 1.5 rounds, minus 200, keeping it simple here. I mean, Derrick Lewis, 7 of his last 10 have finished under 1.5. Talison Terara, he's never even been to the second round. I think this fight probably ends in the first, but the reason I played the under 1.5 rather than the fight won't start round 2 is because Derrick Lewis does have a ton of fights throughout his career where the fights are ending early in the second round, right? So I like the under 1.5, and I think it's a solid price, minus 200. Terara, if you add up his entire career, it barely is 7.5 minutes. You know, this guy's going in there and finishing fights quick, and I think this is going to be a quick finish one way or another. So under 1.5 rounds, I like it. Played it straight. I also like it as a parlay piece. All right. So quick recap for you guys here. Only money line bet is Calvin Kattar, 1.25 units plus 105. I also don't mind Matthews as a dog as well, but it's really hard to trust Matthews. Derrick Lewis, Talison Terara under 1.5 rounds, minus 200 for 2 units. Klein, fight doesn't go to decision, 1.5 units plus 100. Bonfiglio wins inside the distance, 1.5 units plus 100. Matthews to win inside the distance, 0.75 units plus 425. Kennedy Nzechukwu to win in round 2, half a unit plus 550. Kennedy Nzechukwu to win in round 3, half a unit plus 1,000. And then the 4-leg Hail Mary parlay is going to be Klein to win inside the distance. The Calvin Kattar Steve Garcia fight ends by knockout. The Lewis Terara under 1.5 rounds. And then the Petrino Lane fight won't start round 3. That comes out to plus 615, and I have a half a unit on that. So, yeah, sketchy card. I'm kind of sketched out, to be honest, but I feel like I picked my spots pretty well, and hopefully everything comes through, and we can move on to UFC 318, which a ton of spots sticking out next week. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could do me a favor, like on your way out, subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you.